We got to start it off like usual.
We might as well. We're back to the Juice Award. I can't wait. Biggest thing, we're changing it up a little bit. It's going to come from within. So we assign a couple players every day, and we sign a different coach, and just kind of getting a different viewpoint. So excited. So KT gave his to a young guy who's been phenomenal since the day he's been here in Kenny Worthy. Excited about what he's doing, and he's ready out here to compete. Devin Kalani, he said there's nothing better when he's blocking and sees that ball flying for a touchdown. He gave it to Josh Meredith. Josh Meredith is one of those guys that, same thing, developmental process, 3 years in the program, ready to reap those rewards. And Coach Ben Anikione gave it to David Gusta, first man in the building today. His strength, his power, and what he's going to do on the inside is going to be incredible. So excited to get those guys going.
You know, I know in the past you've always emphasized coming out and having that big first day and having a strong first day. What did you kind of feel like the energy and the effort was like today?
I think the biggest thing we stress this year is consistency, right? Our energy's got to be fueled through our purpose and our passion, not just through a bunch of motivational speeches. And first days are easy, right, Jamie? You know, so I loved what I saw. We had a really great build-up mentally to get to this point, so it was really good to see them in helmets and some spider pads out here running around. We'll see what the tape said, but I thought we had a real clean first day, and we invested in it to be that way mentally.
You mentioned Josh, and as you said, a guy who's been in the program 3 years and now kind of maybe reaping the benefits, reaping the rewards of that. What does that kind of say about not just him, but kind of what you guys are trying to build as a program to where it doesn't have to come the first or second year, it can come in the
Yeah, I remember the first day I took over, Jamie, and had the new staff together. I said, this is a 3-year developmental plan. We're not just going to change over some of these positions in 6 months. And I sat there with Rob Schleger, our GM, and we watched the O-line today, and we just talked about what it was like 2 years ago in the spring. So to see these guys developing and coming to fruition is part of the plan, is part of how we're going to have success here, right? The Luke and Landon Rotens, the Josh Merediths, some of these guys on defense that are finally getting their time and opportunity, just excited about where those guys are getting to, because sometimes it does take a while, and excited about what those guys can bring to our team.
You mentioned Kyle Williams hoping to have him step up as a receiver this year. Now that he is the most tenured guy at that position, are you hoping to get some leadership out of him, or I don't know if he's that type of guy?
Well, I would say the biggest thing is he has earned tremendous influence on our football team. So with being a good player, your actions are seen by everybody throughout the team. And we've been putting Kyle in leadership positions ever since January to see how he's going to respond. He's part of the leadership council. We meet every other week and talk about leadership qualities. And I think he understands the responsibility, and I think that's a big first step. So excited to see Kyle's journey as we go throughout the spring, because this is real leadership once we finally hit the grass.
What did you see out of John and Zevi today?
Well, it was a good first day. I think both guys, to be honest, you could see some early nerves, settling in. I think they both got great command of kind of our base offense, which is what we had today. Some big plays both ways. We'll kind of see what the tape says, but it's going to be a heck of a journey. I think we got two ultimate competitors. Those young guys are thriving to get their reps too, so a good first day and a good early start.
Coach, what are you trying to learn from your team in this first week?
Who we are a little bit. I really mean that. When we came back, you could say it's a young team or an inexperienced team, but a team that we've been building through a lot of different realms. So I just want to see guys continually respond. I thought we've had a great winter training session. But let's start showing who we are as a team, a little bit some of our strengths and weaknesses. That'll be developed over 15 practices. So through week one, just want to see a little bit of consistency on the basics and building some good habits that are going to lay the foundation for a good season.
You kind of mentioned it, just 15 practices. How do you make sure each and every one of them counts, including this one that I'm sure a lot of the young guys probably won't forget?
Well, we just said it. You should be beneficially drained. It's 9:45 in the morning, and you should feel like it's a full day's work already. If you're preparing and putting in the time to be successful for these individual moments, you have to do it. But spring ball is the greatest time. We get a day in between, a lot of learning, a lot of walkthroughs. We finally get them for 20 hours. It's a coach's dream, and I think if you're a player that wants to get coached and get better, this is where you see it happen. And we've talked about winning in the dark really all spring, and this is what it is. When no one's watching, you got to go put in the work.
And then I got to ask about the quarterback question. We saw Mateer throwing some passes. We saw Chuga. What are we looking at in that position?
I think it's going to be a long, drawn-out process. I just think I'm looking for a guy that's really to command the offense, command the leadership that it takes and is required at that position, and run our offense, I believe, in a more efficient manner. Right? We've really looked hard under the hood at some of our failures from last season. Obviously, running the ball is still going to be a big thing, and we got to go out there and do it. So a lot of those things command points. But John and Zevi are vastly different players. So don't expect the offense to be the same when either one of them are out there. We got to tailor it a little bit here and there to their strengths.
Coach Brandon with Crim 2, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, Brandon, good to see you.
My man. Well, you don't even have to be inside this fence to feel that energy, from the first practice. So I got a simple question for you. It's just, how fun is football, man? What is it about this sport?
Well, it's a simple phrase that I learned a long time ago. You don't work football, you play football. So I remind those guys all the time, well, sometimes we put these burdens and these stresses on ourselves to come out here. We're still playing a game that we love, that we're ultimately passionate about. So I think that's what you saw on day one. We need to continue to accelerate as we go throughout spring. But our guys love the work, and it's just so enjoyable to be a part of.
Yeah, well, what was that like seeing these guys, to be so pumped up for that first day and to have that energy, ready to compete, ready to get at it after it?
Yeah, and I think we put some stresses on it that, hey, we got to, when you're out here, no matter what happened to you in the last 24 hours, you got to come out here ready to go. And I think our guys took that to task. You can still see them out here throwing around and working habits to get better. That first day, some days there's a lot of individual work that's happening, a lot of group work. But I think our guys have that chip on their shoulder that they want to go out here and compete, and it's going to be a heck of a camp.
You talked about working in the dark, kind of when no one's watching. Have you kind of noticed any improvements from when the season is over until like now, first day of spring ball?
Wow, just tons of them, and that's why I'm excited. It isn't just improving in your size and in your weight and in your change of direction. It's actually improving your habits as a football player, and I think that's what we're really emphasizing now. I mean, I said it yesterday, but Carlos Hernandez just went in and just verified exactly what I was thinking that he could potentially do out here. The Chris Hudsons, Ashton Tripps, just excited to see their continued growth as football players, because they're not just here to bench press and power clean. So excited about what those guys are doing.
I know we talked about the quarterback competition a little bit here, but is there any kind of specific criteria or requirements that you kind of have a checklist here of like, okay, this is what needs to happen in order for your quarterback to start in the fall?
Well, I don't think you ever want to put that one position in a tight box. I think it's a big expanded role. Like I said, command, not turning the ball over. We talked about the turnover margin that we need to win football games. And, just a guy that's going to go out there and play fast and free. And if we need to go with two guys in the game one, we'll do that. But I'm hoping that someone's going to take that job in the reins, and it's going to be really easy to see who that guy is through the course of 15 spring and 20-some fall camp practices.
How do you feel like the quarterback competition, like how have they kind of embraced it in spring ball so far? I know it's only day one, but
so far they've really enjoyed it. Like, so Coach Arbuckle, says it's just a different room. They're very focused. They're very driven. They understand what's at stake from young guy to old guy. And I think Zevi's one of those guys that he's used to playing too. He didn't come here to sit on the bench, so he's attacked every moment through a leadership role within our football team that, man, sometimes, you come step on someone else's turf. It's fun to see these guys battle. But I think they know they're going to help each other out, but only one guy can roll out there in game one.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
All right, guys, go Cougs.